So I want to talk to you about community, because that's what Founded in FoCo is community. Now, when I was in my corporate world and VP and traveling and money, I didn't really have community. I had a work community, and that was it, because it took everything I had. I traveled 50% of the time. I was on call 7/24. I really didn't have a community. Founded in FoCo is a community. It's a community of business owners, startups, solopreneurs, supporting one another.
Hey, it's Nick Armstrong, and you are here on the Founded in FoCo podcast. And every episode, we get a chance to talk to an innovative mover and shaker in our community. And today, I am pleased to introduce you to Dayle. Dayle, tell us about your business.
Hey, Nick. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I love the opportunity to tell you about my business and my passion. I am Dayle Wickizer. I'm the CEO of Intentional Results Coaching. I am a business coach, and my purpose in life is to help business owners increase joy and reduce stress.
So tell me about how we reduce stress, because it's been like 2 years and a decade of COVID. So now we're like stress balls. How do we reduce stress in the workplace?
Right. Well, it actually ties in, Nick, with the name of my business. So we need to be intentional, right? We need to understand what results we want and how do we want to get there. That's how we decide. Do we want the joy in our work? Do we want our stress down? Do we want to be intentional about our business, our mindset, and our leadership? So I partner with business owners who want to grow their business, from solo entrepreneurs to small business to large corporations, work with them on their values. We want them to be authentic, right? That's how we reduce the stress and increase the joy, is we're authentic, and we align our purpose with our business. And then we bring in the tools, the practices, and the coaching that enable us to get those results that we want.
Do you find that cognitive dissonance, especially among leaders and business leaders, is the primary reason and driver for stress?
Yeah, I think so. I have a story about getting a little bit out of alignment myself and losing my joy in my work and the stress taking over in my job. And I was at my best, performing and loving my work when I was in alignment. And once you get out of alignment, you get a little lost, right? And sometimes you just need somebody to help you navigate that journey, help you remember, give you the tools of why you do what you do and what we love. Like, we all get into our businesses and we all start jobs generally because we want to be there. We love it, and there was a passion there. So how do you maintain that when it becomes overwhelming, when it's too much, and you don't know how to navigate it to the next level, right? There are ways to do that are efficient, that can actually be a little bit of fun too. And that's where stress down, joy up.
That sounds really useful to our freelancers and entrepreneurs in particular, and those folks that have left the 9-to-5 world and then ended up accidentally recreating the 9-to-5 world in their own gig, recreating those self-destructive patterns. How did you get involved, and how did you get started in this work?
So a little bit about my background that'll help you understand why I'm really passionate about what I do. Most of my life, I spent 20 years in technology, in leadership and tech, in the service delivery, delivering solutions for financial institutions. Love developing teams, love developing leaders, love developing business lines. I had a purpose. I loved to go to work. I was one of the few people I knew who actually enjoyed going to work and looked forward to it every day. I could make it what I wanted to be. But at some point, it grew. The company grew, the leadership changes, you get more responsibility than maybe you wanted. It's not the things you enjoyed anymore. And at one point, I just found myself out of alignment. I just no longer enjoyed going to work. And if you've enjoyed your work, you just don't have a tolerance for not enjoying your work any longer, right? So I gave notice. I walked away from it. I had a title, I had the 6 figures, I had everything that I thought I wanted, and I was not happy. I did not have joy in my life. So I walked away. I literally spent 2 years reconnecting with me, finding the authentic me, grounding myself again. That included spending time on a farm with my father, putting in fence, harvesting, just we lose ourselves, right? We can really lose ourselves. And you have to really take the time to reflect and, find the way that works for you and be in nature. I did a lot of traveling. I'm a curious person. I did a lot of traveling. I did safaris in Africa, biking in France, just revitalized my soul, became curious again. And then when I got curious, I thought, I'm just going to say yes to everything that comes by me for the next, 6 months. Okay, I dabbled in real estate. Sometimes you say yes and it doesn't work out, right? I dabbled in a lot of different yeses that didn't work out. I said yes to coffee with almost anybody who asked. One of those turned out to be my future husband. So that was a big win, right? But I was in that spot where I was finding joy again. I was finding my purpose. I was aligning my skills. And I realized I really enjoy coaching and developing individuals in professional settings and applying all of my business experience and tools to that to ease their journey, reduce their stress. Really, I developed what I needed.
Are there local business owners who have either gone through this process with you or that you look to as sort of beacons in our local community who are absolutely living that authentic life and doing it well, stress managed, business operating well? They haven't lost themselves in the day-to-day.
Well, it's an ongoing process, right? Nobody gets there. You never arrive. It's a journey. So there are people that I collaborate with and work with that I think are very intentional and have found their purpose. I work a lot with Dane Johnson, Rev Zero Consulting, another individual who was in corporate, realized, hey, you've got a title, you've got the money, but that's not feeding my soul. Went back to school, found some things to help with that. And now he offers a service, but he stays true to himself, his values. He knows who he is, and he works towards that. It is an ongoing journey. And one of the things I always wanted to do was teach. And so when I stepped away from my corporate job, I started teaching. I was an adjunct professor. I taught MBA courses, innovative business models, business operations. And again, I really enjoyed seeing those light bulbs going off in my non-traditional students who are working all day, coming to class to learn, and investing in their lives, right? They want results and they're being really intentional about it. And I really find that is what makes my soul sing. And it brings me great joy to take all those years of experience, the education and the expertise, and be able to mold that into something that can apply to others based on their goals and what results they're looking for.
It takes going on that journey yourself. And it's something that Dane brought up on the podcast. It's something that other guests have brought up. That journey to really self-discover, that's a vital thing. And there's a reason it's a trope in like TV and movies, right? The hero goes off to a farm or to the wilderness somewhere, and it's the hero with 1,000 faces, right? And it's interesting how that plays out in so many different facets of our life. Are there books or leaders that you look to for inspiration in your work, and who do you draw from in order to keep your skills fresh?
Yeah, so I really love a variety. So I always have. I will say years ago when I first started in leadership and I was leading teams, one of the books that just resonated with me was The Gallup's First Break, All the Rules, right? It was about not doing the way things used to be, finding your strengths and applying that in managing teams. That really started me on a path to success. I no longer tried to manage them up to be marginal performers at this level. I discovered that if I could find those strengths and motivations in individuals and put them in the right role, it was just like magic. It was easy. It brought them joy. It reduced my stress. So that I give that credit to really kicking it off. On my discovery journey, I spent a lot of time with Brené Brown, vulnerability, rising strong. I found that really resonated with me at that time in trying to be a more whole person and not just a career woman, and then compartmentalize that and then be a mother, an ability to bring all that together as a whole person and show up whole and be successful. I like Good to Great. I like a lot of customer service type of books. I am a geek, so I like technology, automation, efficiencies. Right now I confess I'm playing around a little bit with the Chat GPT because I'm curious. So I think as long as we're curious, we naturally grow. And I do think for me, that's kind of the purpose of life, is connecting with other people and growing. And we can do that in our businesses as well, right? We spend so much time there. That's where it should be.
It's fascinating to me that people say Chat GPT like it's a dirty word. Like I got deep into Google AdWords today, and it's like, oh, we can't go near that guy.
Yeah. It's my tech background, right? I like innovation. So it's creation, it's creativity. It's just done in a technical realm.
Gabe DeRita came on the podcast and talked about the idea of not separating out your hats, right? You cannot show up authentically in a space if you are a dad in one space or a mom in one space, and you can't take that off when you go into work and you have to be manager, right? You're all of the identities all at once. And so it's refreshing to hear that from multiple sources now. And it's funny to me that multiple themes come up throughout the podcast whenever we do a season of these podcasts, and each year you can sort of go back and compare. Common themes repeat themselves from our speakers, and it just tells me that Founded in FoCo is a really interesting place to learn from our business leaders who are in touch, not just with each other, but with the larger aspect of business. So tell us about your talk at Founded in FoCo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pause you because I want to take you on another tangent before I tell you about my business.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I want to talk to you about community, because that's what Founded in FoCo is community. Now, when I was in my corporate world and VP and traveling and money, I didn't really have community. I had a work community, and that was it, because it took everything I had. I traveled 50% of the time. I was on call 7/24. I really didn't have a community. Founded in FoCo is a community. It's a community of business owners, startups, solopreneurs, supporting one another. I've also found community through other organizations. I am a part of She Goes High. I find that to be a great supportive community. Now I can volunteer. I'm a volunteer out at Hearts and Horses. I love the therapy, the outside. That's a way I can connect. And you start to find ways to fill your buckets, develop your communities. And I think when we do that, it just makes us a better human being. And when you're a better human being and the best version of yourself, you bring that to your work, to your business, to your family, and to your community. So I'm really grateful for Founded in FoCo, for 1 Million Cups, and all of the communities that it's the most community I have had in my entire life. And I feel the joy of that. And so I'm pleased it doesn't have to be in a silo. You can do all this together, right? You can do all this together. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being part of our community and for being a speaker. It's one of the things that we talk about on the leadership team is representation is so important. And this is something that the umbrella organization, Howdy Neighbor Events, is big on. And so organizing Fort Collins Comic-Con, representation matters, because the most important gift you can give a kid in our community is the gift of being seen. And I see myself in that hero, or that's a pathway that I can follow, right? And it doesn't matter what their background is, what their race, diversity, cultural, sexual, economic, social, whatever, all of it. If they see themselves represented, they have a much more likely pathway to success in later in life. It's just critical. I mean, the Healthy Kids Colorado survey just came out and indicated that a lot of our kids are in distress in PSD. And this is true across the state, but in PSD in particular, non-binary, gender fluid students are at a higher risk of self-harm. They're at a higher risk for suicide. They're at a higher risk for stress and burnout and non-graduation. all as a result of the societal pressures that are put on them. So
Oh, absolutely. And
anything
I'm
they can
glad
do.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things for me that was a stress for me, Nick, was I was a female in a male dominated industry. You know, it was me and I had 150 employees. Only 2 of them were women. My peer group, no women. And when you don't feel like you're being heard or represented, or you can't show up as your whole authentic self, there's a stress that just constantly weighs on you. That increases our anxiety and our depression, and and then it takes toll on our health, right? You see a lot of those individuals in those roles. They're functioning alcoholics, they have heart disease, they're something's not right if that's what's happening, right? That's when you step back, that's when you take the break and say, that's not right. What do I need to be whole and healthy? So yeah, and it's all of us. Like you said, it's a community. It includes work, but it is a bigger community. So you asked me, you want me to talk about my session a little bit? Yeah.
Why don't we jump back to your talk at Founded in FoCo? I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about getting a grip on your business, how to scale your business. As I mentioned earlier, businesses are on a journey, just like we as human beings are on a journey, right? Whether you're a solopreneur, a small business, or a corporate business, there's some things that apply no matter what. And one of those things is the ability to scale. And what does scaling mean versus growth? I'm going to talk about the difference between the two. Some tips on when you need to start scaling, and what does scaling look like? Is it automation? Is it technology? Is scaling really scaling your mindset, changing your mindset now that maybe you need to hire employees? And what does that look like? Because we know being an individual contributor is very different than being a leader of a team, right? How do you have challenging conversations? It becomes more complex. And so we want to talk about how to scale, bring in as many processes, procedures, tools, automations as we can, along with how do we help you with your mindset and your people skills to scale. So again, this is for solopreneurs, but it'll work for a small business. And I've had the privilege of working from one-on-ones to, 1,000-person corporations. So it's just different depending on where you're at in your journey. And so I'm really excited to share some of that experience with everybody. And again, what will it do? Let's reduce the stress and increase the joy on your day. Yeah.
What's one action step that someone can take right now in their business to reduce their stress or bring themselves more closer to an authentic presence?
Yeah. You have to take time to reflect. You really have to take time on reflecting where you want to go and what you want to do. You need to be intentional, because once you're intentional and you kind of know your direction, then you can develop the plan. But if you skip the step, the hard work of knowing yourself, knowing your business, figuring out where you're headed, all the tools in the world won't get you there if you don't know where you want to go. And so yeah, it's got some reflection that tends to be harder for people, that they just want the tools, right? Step 1 through 10. Yeah, we're going to have some steps 1 through 10, but you got to do the hard work yourself and really understand who you are and where you want to go.
No software can get you to self-actualization.
Yeah, you're going to have to do it. And I'm very direct. And it's in your own best interest. And for me, I know it is worth it to put that effort into that. And I love to be able to help people, do that if that's what they need as well.
Excellent. Dayle, where can we find out more about you and your business?
Yeah, great. You can find me at Intentional Results Co. So just co.com. That's my website. And while we're doing Founded in FoCo, if you want to go in and just enter a message, I saw your podcast or I saw your presentation, I'll do a 20-minute free consultation. Because here's one of the things I know. A lot of times you just don't know what you don't know. And you need a safe place to ask some questions and see if maybe this would be for you. So that's the website. March 3rd, Friday, the presentation will be great. And you can also just find me on LinkedIn under Dayle Wickizer.
Dayle, thank you so much for being here with us today and for more great entrepreneurial advice from our community, which is truly awesome and representative. visit foundedinfoco.com or come see us live, Founded in FoCo, March 1st through 3rd at Front Range Community College. We can't wait to see you there. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Nick Armstrong, and this is a Founded in FoCo podcast. For more great interviews like this one, join us at foundedinfoco.com.